it's actually kind of hard to do that because I was so young when he passed away. It's like I can picture him in my mind, and then it's like, poof, gone. I think I took all that I had back then, like, I think I took it kind of for granted, and I never thought, well, this might happen, or this might happen. I just thought everything was fine. But my friends, I'm just going to let them know God's there for them, and I'm going to be there for them no matter what.
I'm interviewing my oldest granddaughter today because she lost her Papaw when she was 5 years old. And that was my husband that passed away. And so I'm just getting the viewpoint from different people in my family. And so Ellie was old enough to remember that happening, right?
Yeah. Some of it was, like, blurred out. You can't remember. Like, you can remember highlights of it. You can't. But some of it's blurred, but I can remember most
bits
stuff.
and pieces.
Yeah.
On the positive side, what's something you remember about your Papaw, or something fun or funny or good, or what you loved about him?
Well, a memory I had was my brother had an incident where he had to go to the hospital, and I stayed with you and Papaw. And the part where I stayed with you was kind of blurred out. Like, but I remember the first night I was scared. I was just scared, like, what's happening. And so it was just you and me in the house. And I was just but after a few weeks, or I think it was a few weeks, I can't really remember, but Papaw took me to our favorite ice cream place. And then he surprised me with my brother and my parents coming home from the hospital.
That's right.
And I can't really remember all of that much. One of the funny highlights was I can remember him telling me I needed to eat a sandwich before I got ice cream.
Of course.
Yeah, but I just remember being there with him when I saw my parents and my brother first.
What was some of the favorite things you did with Papaw?
Well, I wasn't, like, with Papaw every day, but I would see him, like, on the weekends, and then on Sunday and Wednesday. And something I remember, you guys always had, like, in your compartment for the car, you had, like, buckets and buckets of lollipops that we would get after Wednesday.
That's right.
And I just remember sitting in the car, and then you'd get Mom and Dad that you could take us home, and because we got in your car, and then we made you take us home. And so I just remember the lollipops. Hey, it helps my Nana if you're watching on YouTube to like and subscribe. If you are listening on the podcast, please like and follow. We would love for you to do that now to help our channel grow and become a blessing to others.
So, what do you remember about the day that Papaw actually passed away?
Well, actually, it was like, I remember we woke up, Dad said, I gotta go to the hospital. And I said, why? He said, Papaw's there. I was just like, I was like, oh no, is Papaw okay? He said, yeah, he just had a little bit of treatment or something that he needed. So I was like, I thought it was fine. He left a few minutes later, he got out, and he just seemed so sad. I said, what's wrong? He said, I just saw my dad get very sick. And so then my mom called her mom, which is my other grandma, and she's telling her, and she's like, they're praying together, and I'm so confused. And then we go over to my Aunt Trisha's house, which is my mom's sister's house, and the time where we stayed there, like I said, like some parts are like blurred out, but then they had like a woods, so our parents took us to a little clearing in the woods, and they told us that Papaw passed away. And then the ride to your house, I can't remember, just like I said. And then we saw everybody was so sad. And then we went down, and then it was just kind of frustrating that the little younger kids were playing. I was like, this is sad. What are you doing? I was sad, and I don't think I'm also sad that I was angry at them because, I mean, they didn't.
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't understand what was happening, so... But I just remember
that was your feelings of it.
And I can't remember anything like that. I can't really remember anything from the rest of that year. I think it was all blurred out. That year was more of a blur. And my dad, I didn't see him cry. Like, that probably was the first time I've ever seen him cry. And I had seen him cry. I was upset that everything had happened, but then knowing that he wasn't, I could miss my Papaw and he not be at my house, but knowing that he's not at his house, he's not here, he's not even on the other side of the world where I could call him, he's not where I can contact him, it just was hard for me to like understand and stuff like that. So the rest of the year was blurred out. So
that's what we do. We end up feeling like we just want everybody to be okay. And so sometimes when people are crying or telling stories or talking about someone or grieving, and we come up to them, we just pat on the back and kind of we just want it to be done because we just want them to the sadness to be over.
It's kind of and sometimes I think we, in those situations, us as humans forget that we're living in the world. People are going to cry sometimes, even though we haven't seen them do it. People are going to be sad. Everything can't be joyful. And that was especially confusing as a 5-year-old. But yeah, I think that is basically what people do. We all think, why is everybody crying? No. But we're forgetting that we live in a sin-filled world where everything is messed up and people are going to cry sometimes.
Right.
They're going to be upset. They're going to grieve. They're going to just... Not everything can be happy all the time. And
true.
But
we want it to be,
it was
don't
hard
we?
for me to notice that.
Well, and that's fine.
Yeah. And it also makes me sad that my other little brother didn't really get to know him very well.
Yeah. But I love that you also mentioned your baby brother who was just a few months old when Papaw passed. And that has been one of the hardest things for me, too, is to look at, as you all grow up, to think, well, Papaw's not right here with you.
Yeah, well, I thought of it as I was maybe a few months ago before Christmas. I was just sitting in the car with my dad and I said, you know what I just noticed? My youngest little brother is going to grow up. He's not going to remember anything about his grandfather. He's not going to remember anything except from videos and photos. And it just made me start crying.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I miss him, but I miss him also for Lex.
All right, so how do you deal with that now? Like, as time passes, how much do you think about your Papaw? Or what do you think about? What stirs your memories?
Random things. To be honest, I don't really think about him, like, on the regular every day. But actually, I say I don't think of him every day, but at the same time, I think of him smally every day. It doesn't exactly strike me like, oh, I start crying, but how it affects me now, like, that's what stirs, like, that's how I remember stuff like that, and pictures, stuff like that, and videos from the old phone you gave me. Papaw didn't really like selfies, or he didn't really like taking pictures of himself or anything, so I remember that. So we don't have or at least I can't find a ton, but I'm really happy when I do find it.
Not a ton, but I have found quite a few things with Papaw in it that he did take selfies with the grandkids, and he did hold a phone backwards and take little videos of y'all together, and those have been fun.
Yeah.
To put one of my favorite pictures is actually on Remy's pillow that we made for him, where you two are at the ice cream shop, and one of you is on one side of his lap and the other's on the other side of his lap, and everybody's throwing their head back laughing and grinning. Do you have anything that was Papaw's or at your house?
Actually, yeah, we have a little bit. I remember that he had a little bit of Indian blood in him. Yeah. And Cherokee, so he had some Indian stuff. We have the two, book holder thingies, I'm really not sure what they're called, that hold books together. And it's a picture of an Indian. It's kind of weird to me, but it's an Indian on his horse just drooped. I don't know if he's I don't know. And then we also have, Dad in the basement, we have at least 2 buckets of sermon notes that he has. And then we have, my favorite thing that we have, he really liked eagles, so we have wooden statues of eagles in me and my brother's rooms. So that's just kind of fun to look at, but it doesn't really trigger in my mind. It's kind of become part of our house.
Right.
It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't really trigger that in me, oh, this belonged to Papaw.
Right.
But my favorite thing he had was about this big of an Indian statue, putting his knees up on a rock, standing like a hero on a rock. Mm-hmm. And the way it was colored, I looked all over it, and the colors that the artist chose, it just kind of reminds me of him. Mm-hmm. Also, other songs would trigger on it, like "You Are My Sunshine."
Yes. Why does "You Are My Sunshine" trigger anything?
Because he sung it to us all the time. To be honest, when I was little, I really thought he made this song. I did.
Papaw wrote the "You Are My Sunshine" song. I love that. I love that so much.
I thought that he wrote it. But
I love that.
I thought that he wrote it. So
Yeah.
And then I remember I'm hearing it. I'm like, Mom, people are copying Papa's song. She said, no, honey. He didn't write it. He just sang it.
Sang it to you all the
That was
time.
kind of disappointing to hear, because by then, when I finally found that out, I had begun to like writing, and I love writing now. I've written stories, poems, and songs, and so I was kind of disappointed because I thought, because I finally struck me, I have a relative that wrote. And
oh my goodness! Well, now,
sad.
Okay, that brings up something then. Well, first of all, I have a memory. I have a video of you. You were just days old in the hospital, and Papa was holding you, and he is singing very softly, "You Are My Sunshine," and your little baby eyes just droop and then they close. And I have that sweet video. That's even just when you were days old in the hospital.
We have a picture of it at our house, and my mom like did a copy of it, drawing it, but I remember that, and I have it in my baby book. Most of my pictures from firstborn in the hospital are with Papaw, or Papaw's in the background making sure everything's okay.
Yes. And I want to tell you something very special, and I don't know, your parents all know this, and I gave everybody copies, but your Papaw did write, and he wrote very well.
Really? I did not know that.
And he wrote poems, and actually one year for his birthday, I think, or for Christmas, I had a friend of mine, but this was back when computers were you could just start doing fancy things on them. And I took this was a ways back, but anyway, I took all of Papaw's poems that he just had written and stuffed into an envelope in a drawer, and I had a friend of mine took and put them all, typed them all out, put neat graphics and designs with them, and I gave him that packet of all his poetry.
Wow.
And I have those.
Wait,
and
really?
You're at the age where this would probably be neat to give to you and let you read some of them, okay?
This is actually,
so he was a writer. Even though he didn't write You Are My Sunshine, he was a writer.
Yeah, but that is very interesting. That's actually something I did not know that he wrote at all. I actually thought the opposite. I did not think Papaw was the writer type.
Yes.
Other than writing sermons.
No, he's a very good writer, in fact.
So.
Very good writer. So I'll share that with you. That's neat. Another thing we could talk about is, how do you keep Papaw's memory alive now?
Actually, it's actually kind of hard to do that because I was so young when he passed away. It's like I can picture him in my mind, and then it's like, poof, gone.
We can look at videos, and we can look back at pictures, because I remember one of the odd things for me was that only the next day after your Papaw passed away, I started having this feeling like I couldn't picture him in my mind.
Yeah, that kind of pictured, and over the years, I'm like, I can't think about him, like I don't, and it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds weird, but you
don't want to forget.
It's really
people
scary.
That you love.
It's scary. I'm not going to remember him. He's not gonna be anything he's going to be and he's not like that. It was scary, and I didn't really tell my parents about that or whatever, but it was just a hard time to think about that.
Yeah. Well, I have thought many times about how hard it must have been to lose someone years ago and not have anything, maybe not have any pictures of them at all, or even just back in history when they took some black and white photos, but you didn't have any video or anything like that. That would be really difficult to hang on to the memory of what the person looked like. And people journal, which you love to journal.
Yeah.
And that's a good reason to journal, is because as time passes from someone passing away.
Yeah, I couldn't write when I was 5.
Well, no, exactly. But I mean, it's a nice thing now. You can even sit down and maybe from photos or videos, you can write down some things that you remember about Papaw. But I'm just saying, even people journaling, back in the day, you found that people did have a journal all the time, and that was probably a way for them to write down their memories of that day and pass that on to loved ones where they didn't really have pictures. That's a valid point to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that day when he passed away, I think I took all that I had back then, I think I took it kind of for granted, and I never thought, well, this might happen, or this might happen. I just thought everything was fine. When it was fine, but I think now it triggers me. I never really focused on that fact until a few years later, and then it kind of just hit me that you never really know how much you love someone until they're gone, or that. So I'm kind of in death, I think everybody kind of has to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
When it's death, I think that's just something that happens no matter what.
Well, you don't know until you know, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that...
Yesterday was Dr. Seuss Day, by the way.
Yeah.
And I say this because he has a quote that says, I won't quote it just right, but the gist of it is that you never know how much you love something until that something becomes a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, I never thought Papaw was going to be a memory. I knew the times with him were going to be memories. When I finally realized that, it triggered in my mind. I was just cleaning my room one day, and I was like, Papaw's going to be a memory. He's not, well, he is real, but, he's not...
He's not physically with you right here on the earth.
Physically real right now. It's kind of hard to say.
Right.
But I also think that we, no matter what, if we're Christians or not, or whatever, no matter who we are going to, at some point, without even thinking about it, take something or someone for granted, and we have to learn in death, no matter what. I think we're going to have to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
That we take it for granted.
So what would you say to other kids who maybe have just lost a grandparent?
If I were going to answer in a comment about it, I would let them know God's watching you. He knows the pain. He knows your pain, but everything is in His hands. I let them know if you trust Him, He's gonna help you through this. But my friends, I'm just gonna let them know God's there for them, and I'm gonna be there for them no matter what. And when I can't be there for them, there is a person that can refill my place so much better than I could ever give advice to them.
Wow.
So, but it's kind of hard to give advice on that when you don't know the whole situation.
Sure.
But I was talking to a friend, and I've talked to a lot of friends, and I've given them advice on stuff. I can't really think of a ton of people who I've actually given advice to, because I'm I don't know how to do this. So sometimes the best thing you can do is just be there to grieve with them and help them. I heard this little quote that I was telling you in the car a little bit ago, that a girl was late for dinner, and her mom asked, "Where were you?" And she said, "My friend's puppy got lost." And the mom said, "So you stayed to help find the puppy?" And she said, "No, I stayed to help my friend cry." And so sometimes the only thing you can do is, you can't do anything to change the situation. You can just help grieve with them, because sometimes someone can feel like no one else is sad for them, no one else is sad with them. So just grieving with them sometimes and trying to feel what they feel, which sounds like you want to be sad. Trying to put yourself in their shoes helps most of the time when you can't give physical or mental advice on something.
So, great point. I asked you to give advice, and you basically said better than advice is just being there with the person when they're sad.
To grieve with them.
I could not have said it better, and an adult could not have said it better.
Because you can't, trying to cheer them up no matter what, it's going to be they're going to be thinking in their mind, they don't care, they just think that this isn't a big deal, they just want me to be happy. So trying to make them happy might help, but it can also really trigger something inside them that makes them even more sad. So just being there and understanding and just letting the situation be what it is,
right,
I think is something.
Excellent point. Just let the person grieve, let the person cry, be there with them, go through it with them.
Yeah.
You just took a deep breath. Were you nervous? All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Sure.
You know how much I love you.
Yep.
How much? A bushel and a peck and a
hug around me.
You are my sunshine. Thanks.
27th, 2024. From Ellie to Papaw. I miss you more than ever now, 10th birthday almost here, and I don't think I can take another year knowing you're not here. My brothers only knew you for a little time, long enough to see your face. Knowing they didn't know you makes my heart race. You were called to be with God, but I can't always understand why, so it made it so hard to say goodbye. I tried to grasp the leftover parts to hide them in my heart to keep your memory alive, but I can only wait until we're all revived. You were handy in the kitchen, pasta, sandwiches, and all, but my favorite dish was spaghetti and a huge meatball. I can't wait to see you soon, and as Nana says, I love you from here to the moon.
Well, this is one of my other grandsons, Boston, and he's going to share with us a little bit about his Papaw also. He was very young when his Papaw passed away, but he wanted to be a part of the grandkids interview. Is there anything you remember about Papaw from back then?
I remember he wore a red and black striped shirt a lot, and I remember he made really good spaghetti.
Yes, famous for that shirt, and definitely spaghetti.
I remember I saw a video where Remy was just wallowing all over him, and he didn't react to anything.
He just liked it, right? It was just funny. Remy was laughing on that little video. That was cute.
You cut out!
So, do you have some things at your house that were Papaws or that remind you of Papaw?
I have a eagle stopper. It's something where you put it next to your door and it holds the door open.
Oh,
It's carved with wood. It's an eagle.
Oh, neat.
And then it's an eagle head. I just put it on my dresser or my shelf.
That. Papaw loved eagles and collected them. Anything else you want to talk about or say about Papaw?
I remember something silly. Whenever there were tornadoes, he'd call us and he would say, "Hey, there's a tornado watch or warning. Get down in your basement." And my mom would be, and it was always at our nap time, so she'd be like, "Why?" It was so silly.
Yes, because Papaw and Nana were those people that call the kids about bad weather and tornado warnings and all the things, right? And Mama hated scooping y'all up from nap time and carrying you down to the basement because she had just gotten you to sleep. That is funny. Yeah, Papaw was he was always very good about being concerned about the family and what was going on.
I remember when I was at your house, your old one. Whenever I get a grape, he'd say, "Don't choke."
Yeah, true. That might have been Nana more than Papaw. I might have gotten him to do that a little too much. He probably didn't think about it till I went on and on about it. I don't know. But yes, concerned about you choking. I appreciate you letting me ask you a few questions and wanting to be a part of everything with the family. I love you.
Love you.
Can I give you a kiss on the cheek? Mwah. We got our... Just a minute ago I said, "Do you want to talk about Spider-Man?" And what'd you do? You laughed at me and said, "No." What'd you say?
I said Papaw.
We want to talk about Papaw. And then you said, because that's what this...
Oh,
What's this called that we're doing?
Podcast.
Yeah. You said, okay, now you're going to be able to hear that. So you said, well, that's what the whole podcast is about. So I thought you were just wanting to have fun in front of a camera, but you're really wanting to do a full interview, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you were tiny when Papaw went to heaven, right? Did you know you were a little baby? In fact, you were, I'm trying to think, 9?
Oh.
9 months old? No, I'm sorry, 11 months old. A little under a year, right?
A little under a year because his birthday's November
Okay.
9th.
Yeah, so 10 months old. I'll get it straight. All right, so you were 10 months old when Papaw went to heaven. So it's hard for you to really remember seeing him here on this earth, but you've seen, Mama shows you and Daddy shows you pictures, right?
Oh, kinda.
You remember seeing some pictures with you with him?
Oh,
Have you seen some pictures of what he looked like?
I mean, on the pillows.
Oh, we had a pillow made with Papaw and you together, right?
Yeah.
And so does it sometimes bother you that you don't get to meet Papaw down here on earth and you have to wait till you get to heaven to meet him?
Well, I mean, some songs make me think about him, and sometimes they make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you cry, but I know that hurts. Let me tell you something good is that I called you my grief baby. And what that means is you were so little when Papaw died that you were one of the things that brought me so much joy, because getting to cuddle you and hold you and love on you was really good for Nana being sad. And I'll tell you something else. As you got older, you're so funny that you just made me laugh. When nothing else could make me laugh, you made me laugh. So God used when you were born, even though you weren't born early enough that you remember Papaw, He's used when you were born to really help this family just have a very bright spot in our very sad days.
Okay.
Okay. What else would you like to talk about?
Well,
That hair.
I mean, your old house. Your old house.
Oh, do you remember that house?
Yeah.
You do?
I really remember the chickens there.
You don't? Well, I think most of our chickens they became dinner for some animal before you came along, or before you were old enough to remember them. We had, a fox and a possum get to some chickens, and I think like a hawk. Yeah, get to some of our chickens, unfortunately.
What's whatever you said
hawk?
last?
A hawk.
Oh.
It's kind of like an eagle. It's a bird.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Oh, I just didn't say it plain. I see what the problem is.
I thought you said cock.
No, not cock. Hawk.
Oh.
I want you to look right up at that camera and smile, because I want everybody to see this face. Like, you have the best smile. This is Nana's dimple twin. We both need to smile. Yeah. We're dimple twins. Your face lights up the room, buddy. Just saying. Well, we're going to stop for now, but you did a great interview.
Thanks.
Love you. Thank you, buddy.